Greetings again. My name is Shane. I'm calling from California,
Hey, Robert.
Rehoboth. I was just listening to your presentation, and I just had a question on something that you said
Okay.
regarding an asteroid impact.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that some of us are going to be picked up. Are we going to be like picked up by other humans or like by alien beings? Some of the beings you show in the books. Like the fat ones and like the bug looking ones.
It depends on who you are. So, if because you remember that the different extraterrestrial beings have offspring on the planet. Excuse me. So our ancestors, will pick you up in crafts if you are worthy and if you've made it and if you've been selected to be picked up. And if you're not, then you may be guided to a safe place like it happened previously in the past when meteorites hit this planet. You had different beings that survived, that knew what to do. And at the time, that was the Watusis, the Pataites, and the Hindu beings that survived. And they went into caverns, or they were, guided into certain places and then waited till everything had resided and then came back out and started to populate the planet again. So it all depends on the the impact. It depends on the person, how developed they are. It depends on whether they're guided or know where to go or what to do, and where they are on the planet, and so on and so forth. So it's we know as that's why Wu-Sabat is here to teach you and prepare you if you apply Wu-Sabat in terms of what you're being taught by way of the master teacher. And that's why the word Partarat or the words Partarat mean the way or Partaruk. So
Got
the
it.
guidance. So if you're this is why we say some people are just wasting their time in terms of they're not actually applying and studying and implementing Wusabat in their life to transform themselves. And the master teacher teaches that your inner being, if you know you have an inner being that is far more valuable than the physical one, then you should be getting in tune and learning about that being. As I was saying earlier on, most people are preoccupied with their physical, their hair, their eyes, and how they look and how what they eat, and they don't do the spiritual things for the inner being, such as the fasting, the meditation, the spiritual aspects of abstaining from things to develop your being, your spiritual and your soul to the point where you can inherit a body if you have a strong inner being, right? Because you can actually if you think about how you came here to be what you are today, your pure energy being that has come here and taken on bacteria by way of the flesh that goes back to the ground once you're kind of like leaving or transmuting this plane. And if you're not strong enough spiritually, then you won't be born in the other realms or existence. Just as you have children that come here, they may be stillborn, or they have what we call a premature birth, or so they're not fully developed. There are many things that can hinder your coming here. It's the same way going back the other way through the vortexes to go back, or if you're fortunate enough to be taken in a craft, and even then you have to clean yourself inside out and develop yourself mentally as well as we say, spiritually, that will help your soul to be strong enough to be able to transcend the realms. You see, so
I see.
it
I
all
see.
depends on you as a being. But of course, you have to be being around the master. You will be even more able to accelerate your growth as a being because you're going to be taught. And
So
go ahead.
would it be safe to say that all Christians and Muslims, like those guys who believe in Christianity or Muhammad, would it be safe to say those guys are not going to be picked up since they do not follow Wu-Sabat and
Again,
the master teacher?
yeah, absolutely, but it depends on the being, because there are beings in those, in those groups that you've mentioned, that are sincere and don't know, like, in terms of, they think and they're doing the right thing, but they don't know. So you can't be really judging what you don't know. And that's a very interesting question, because it can also come down to us, because we didn't do our job to reach them so that they do know. This is why we have to make sure as much as possible that everyone has had the opportunity to come into Wu Sabat, because if we don't do our job, then we may be responsible for them not knowing. But at the same time, it's also a genetic doctrine, because once somebody is exposed to Wu Sabat, they will have that, what we call a genetic explosion. They will wake up by the tone and the sounds of the master's voice, or reading his scrolls, or whatever way that they come into contact with him. And others, they're just not ready in this cycle because they haven't developed. And if you're still, in believe in the spell and caught up under the spell, then that there's something wrong, because you're not growing intellectually, mentally. Because how can you know something and feel something is wrong and still continue to do it?
True.
That's not growth. That's not right knowledge. Does that make sense?
Got it. Got it. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And hate to beat the dead horse, but why do they have to wait until 2030 or 2031 after, or right at the penultimate moment of the impending disaster? Why not today? Why not 10 years ago?
Oh, it's been happening. They've been coming and picking people up, and they're not waiting. There are people that get picked up all the time. However, it's you have to think about how they travel and where they're traveling from, and you're dealing with beings traveling light years away, and that some of them have to wait until, like, the vortex is open, or like gateways and portals open, to basically make it from where they're coming from. Like, intergalactical travel is not like as simple as, we jumping on an aeroplane and going, just, using combustion and the methods of, power that we use at the moment to fly. These are beings that, when you're traveling those distances, you're dealing with avoiding, asteroid belts, avoiding planets, avoiding, they give you that kind of, like, depiction in like Star Trek or these type of shows. But the reality is, you're traveling at warp speed, and you're going to need to know, like, if you think about an orbit of galactical bodies, they can take thousands of years or millions of years in our time for one rotation. So yeah, it's very complex and requires beings with, high intellect, and the type of crafts that can actually, you know make the distance and not need fuel. And the type of fuel we have, you're going to run out, you won't be able to. So it's actually, it's not as simple as it sounds. But the vortex opens every 10 years and has been doing so since 1943, and every 10 years, so 1953, 63, 73. So beings come by way of that. And then now you're
Got it.
starting to see more crafts, orbs, and certain crafts have come. And so it's not like they're waiting. It's just that you have to remember that if the planet gets to a point where it's so bad, in terms of, let's say, for example, the children of the devil, the Adamites, if they launch nuclear weapons, or atomic weapons, then that gets to a point where it's like, it's very serious, and evacuation is going to have to be made. So it all depends on the timing and what is taking place on the planet at the time. But it's not like they're just waiting. It's the orbit and how long it takes them to go and come back. So they've made many trips and have found out that we haven't been ready for those who have our ancestors have come to pick those who are ready up, and
Oh,
we
okay.
have a book called the Nine where it explains that. If you like, no, maybe not today because we're almost running out of time. But yeah, are you in the Telegram group?
I am in the Telegram group, but
Right.
like when I write, there's so many people in the group. Once you write a question, it's like, even right now I have like 1,000 unread messages. It's like the
Okay.
old school chat room. It's not that.
Yeah, it is
It's
very
hard for one
busy.
to one. Yeah,
Right, right. But you can always book a one-to-one with me if you want, and we can go through your questions.
absolutely. I think I
Yeah,
might take you up on that offer.
no problem, no
But
problem.
can I squeeze one more question in before
Yeah, go
before you
ahead.
go?
Go.
Okay. So you also mentioned the biblical Jesus and that he could not save himself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. As per the Bible, the KJV, he died on the cross. Because he was, a mortal man, and he just couldn't do it. So I get it. But isn't that the same situation of the master teacher? He's in this body, he's locked up, and he can't help himself. He's relying on us.
No, not at all. One, the story that you're referring to was a story that has actually happened and is finished and gone and that's expired. Our story is ongoing. We haven't reached that point to say he can't help himself, right? So we
Right.
can't say that to say, okay, what if he helps himself tomorrow? But the thing is, when you say himself, he is
Mhm.
a try. He has different beings within one, right? So you're talking about the physical body, which is Malachi, yeah, which we refer to as Malachi, ZK, York. But the entire being that is his spiritual guide is Yanun. That being is not trapped. That being can go at any time. Obviously, that being has been selected in terms of to use the body of Malachi to do the work, but we are the ones that are being tested, and we say this all the time. So if we don't do what we're supposed to do, he will Yanun can leave at any time. There are many times where crafts have come to take him and said, "Let's go," because you're sacrificing and doing everything for these beings and these people, but they're still not getting the message, and they're still, still asking questions about the books and religion and all these other things, which is showing you, and they're still not learning how to unite and come together and do the things that will show that they've actually graduated or learned what you've given. And he keeps saying, no, there are some of them who are, and he chooses not to go. But the story is still unfolding, and really, until we get to that moment, we can't say that. So it's a
But
completely
what
different
moment?
story.
Like,
I'm saying
isn't like.
if he walks out in the next couple of weeks or this year, then you can't say that he didn't save himself or whatever because he would have been saved. You see, so I'm saying the story is still happening. It's not
Still
over.
happening, still unfolding.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. It's like you're watching a movie, but you haven't completed all the scenes and got to the credits at the end. So you can't really say what's going to happen at the end of the movie until you get there. So that's a different situation. Whereas when you look at everyone else that's come and gone, they're gone. He's still here.
Got it. Got it. And how would I? I feel like I have like 1,000 questions I could ask. But how would I book a one-on-one with you? Just reach out to you via the Telegram group.
Yeah, he's going to post it in the chat, just as I've just posted a link in the chat for those people who really want to build. Because we keep saying, it's the programming. We talk we can't, or like, and I always say we're Africans, not Afrikaans. So, like, literally, instead of us focusing on our demise or doom and gloom and whatever, why don't we focus on doing, like, for example, let's focus on getting him out, then that whole narrative will change that we're talking about,
Indeed.
you see. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, look in the chat and you will see how you can connect and book your one-to-one. All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Seconds.
Appreciate love you too. Take care. What
What do?